My name is Miriam. I come from Sepphoris in Galilee, where I live with my family. We're fish traders. It's a good life. Selling fish to the Romans turns a steady profit. The money is good. The weather is glorious, really too hot or too cold. Our life is peaceful. We in Sepphoris know what's good for us. We're loyal to Rome, and Rome leaves us alone. Not like those mad fanatics in the hills. They'll get themselves killed one day, mark my words. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to see the back of those Romans as much as anyone. When the Messiah comes, and I know he will, I'll be the first to cheer on his army as they kick out the Romans. But until he does come, I'll keep my head down and mind my own business. I'll leave the Romans alone and hope they leave me alone. That way no harm can possibly come to anyone, could it? This year, like every year, we've come to Jerusalem for the Passover. Us and most of the rest of Galilee. I love it and hate it all at the same time. I love the excitement and the expectation. I hate the smell and the jostling. I love the togetherness of us all in the same place for the same reason. But I hate the fights that erupt at a moment's notice. I love going to the temple to meet my God. I hate being pushed out of the way by those people who think they're a better right to be there than I have. I especially love that moment when all the crowds who have been travelling from the north and the south and the east and the west join together as we stream into Jerusalem. And as we go, we sing. We sing as though our hearts would burst within us. We sing the ancient tunes of the Psalms, voices of strangers mingling together, weaving us together as one, as we sing our way into the holy city, the city of God. One of my favourites is these Psalms have always been the song of victory. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His steadfast love endures forever. When we pilgrims sing it, the sound of it ripples backwards and forwards down the long line of people. His steadfast love endures forever, forever and ever and ever. This year we started singing that psalm, my favourite psalm, just as we got to Bethany. And the timing couldn't have been more perfect. It's a psalm all about a king who really existed. When we sing this psalm, I love to imagine him weary and bruised from battle, coming to Jerusalem, exhausted but quietly triumphant, riding down the very road that I'm on now, remembering the struggle, the battle, and how he was nearly lost, and how the steadfast love of the Lord really does endure forever. And he was saved. And how the priests would stream out of the temple to greet him, singing, "Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord." And there would be joy and thanksgiving everywhere. One day, we'll sing this for real when the Messiah, our new King, comes. When he's driven the Romans out and there's peace and justice everywhere, then we'll sing this with all our might. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. I was thinking about that, as I always do on the way to Jerusalem, when two people brought a donkey and a man got on it. It was strange, almost as though he'd expected it somehow. He rode it, just like I always imagined the king would have done, except that it was a donkey and not that impressive. The crowd parted for a moment, and I recognized some of them around him from the fish market back home. There was Peter and his brother, the quiet one. I think his name was Andrew. and Zebedee's boys, who'd upped and offed a few years ago, leaving their poor father to do all the work. I heard that they'd gone off after one of those wannabe Messiah types. Then I saw the man on the donkey himself. He should have looked ridiculous, but somehow he didn't. He looked right, kingly and gentle, powerful and caring, all rolled into one, just like I imagined steadfast love would look. Someone pushed a branch into my hand as we got close to the end of the psalm, and I found myself singing and waving the branch, "Save us, Hosanna, save us." All around me, people were doing the same, singing directly to the man on the donkey, as though our lives depended on it. Save us, Hosanna, save us. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. In that moment, it felt as though he really could save us. He couldn't be the one, could he? No, of course not. The Romans are all around us. Look at them, twitching for the merest chance to draw their swords. In any case, he doesn't look the part, not even approaching magnificent enough to be a proper Messiah. And the priests haven't come out of the temple to greet him. If it was him, they'd know, wouldn't they? Priests are trained to recognize the things of God. If he really was Messiah, they'd know, and they'd tell us, and then we'd all know. No, Messiah would leave it to chance, would they? I kept hold of my branch, just in case the priest suddenly came out to meet him, like they ought to. But nothing happened. No one came. And the moment went just as quickly as it had arrived. I let my branch fall to the ground, strangely disappointed. He wasn't anything like I hoped the Messiah would be, and yet, I couldn't help thinking that if the Messiah comes, when the Messiah comes, wouldn't the world be so much better? If instead of being magnificent and grand, powerful and splendid, that he was like this man, steadfast, loving human form. We came to the end of the psalm and the final verse, echoing all off all the walls in the city. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His steadfast love endures forever, forever and ever and ever.